Chapter 114. Demon Yuan City. Her younger sister, Yun Hongmai, on the other hand, blinked her to big eyes and stared curiously at Kangqion. Kangqion smiled bitterly and said, "I don't want to be stared at strangely." But no, the crowd around him were now looking straight towards him, as if Kangqion owed them hundreds of dollars. Pfft, Yun Shuiru sniffed and covered her mouth as she laughed lightly. That's because Big Brother Kangqion is too famous. Who doesn't want to know about hegemony Kangqion in the Great Tang cultivation world right now? Miss Shuiru is right. With hegemony brother's talent, he will encounter more such scenes in the future, not to mention far away. Right now, there are many people in the imperial capital waiting for hegemony brother to go forward. Zhou Yunji also said with a smile. Imperial capital. Kangqion murmured softly. A hint of fury flashed in his eyes. Counting the time, it was time for him and Li Laoqi to fulfill their war contract. That Li family's 7th elder is only at the 7th level of Jiden stage cultivation, at best. He only has the strength of the 8th level of Jiden stage. It's impossible for him to be Big Brother Kangqion's opponent. I believe that Big Brother Kangqion will surely be famous in the imperial capital this time, and the name of the hegemony king will become even more resounding. Yun Shuiru sniffed disdainfully and looked at Kangqion adoringly with both eyes. Cloud Red danced on the side thoughtfully. Her sister was afraid that she liked Big Brother Kangqion. Otherwise, how could she, who was always mature and stable, reveal this kind of little girl behavior? Kangqion couldn't stand her gaze and turned his eyes away, faintly saying, "The Li family is not as simple as you think. This battle concerns the Li family's face. They won't let me win so easily." Zhou Yunji also nodded his head and said, "Brother Bully has a point. A big family, like the Li family, cares about their face the most. But cultivation is not something that can be raised up in a short period of time. So I reckon that Li Laoqi will at most reach the 8th level of the Jiden stage from the 7th level of the Jiden stage no matter how hard he tries in this 1 year. And the Li family's most likely move will be to have a hand in the top of the magic treasures. Brother Bully, be careful of this point. Really, it's hard to believe that the Li family would let him come to duel with me with a treasure weapon." Kangqion sniffed and laughed coldly, but his heart was shaken. He thought carefully and felt that Zhou Yunji had a point. There was no guarantee that the Li family would not do this for the sake of face. He had to be vigilant beforehand. If that's the case, the Li family is too shameless. Yun Shuiyao frowned, her face full of contempt. "He, if we let Brother Overlord win, the Li family's face would be finished. Do you think they would still care about this bit of morality?" Zhou Yunji sneered. "Then wouldn't Big Brother Kangqion be in danger?" Yun Shuiru sniffed and looked towards Kangqion with a face full of worry. At this moment, not far away in the Bian pool, a 1,000-year-old crocodile reared its ferocious head and let out an angry roar towards the crowd on the shore. Instantly, light shot out of Kangqion's eyes at first glance. "A mere treasure artifact, wanting to deal with me, Kangqion. Then I will let them, the Li family, know what true defeat is." Kangqion coldly laughed. His body instantly came out and ran towards the Bian pool. Heaven escaping hand, silently, a huge silver-colored palm grabbed that 1,000-year crocodile and raised it stiffly out of the water. Kangqion then drew out the long black blade behind him, and an incomparably dazzling blade aura came out. Immediately, a spray of blood exploded in the sky, and that 1,000-year crocodile was cut off at the waist by Kangqion's blade, and its blood dyed the pool water below red. Hiss! This scene was watched by the crowd from afar in awe. Kangqion killed this millennium crocodile. His movements were just like flowing clouds and water. Just between idle strolls, he killed this millennium crocodile, which was comparable to the 5th level of the Jiden stage, with a single blow. This kind of strength shocked everyone present. Even a strong person of the 8th level of the Jidan stage at Xingqupeng was unable to kill the Millennium Crocodile and the beam pool in such a short period of time. After all, they were Kangxian's heaven escapement hands, which could instantly restrain the Millennium Crocodile. Is this the legendary heaven escaping hand? It's really strong. Who can resist this move under the Yuaning stage? Zhou Yunji was filled with shock as he looked at the domineering young man standing with a sword. In the distance, the shock from that scene just now was too strong for him. The two sisters of the Yuan family were also looking at the distant sky with bright eyes at the moment. Shen Tepeng, the grey-clothed old man, Zhong Kixin, Uncle Ma, and the others were also shocked, their eyes filled with awe and admiration. If he uses this move, who in the room can resist? Shen Tepeng couldn't help but ask himself, if Kangxian restrained him with a single move of the heaven escaping hand, and then executed the heaven-breaking constant attack, he would definitely die. The grey-clothed old man and the others also had the same expression, no matter who it was. Seeing such a powerful divine ability like the heaven escaping hand, the only thing left in their hearts was awe. Zhong Tianhao and Shen Tefeng, on the other hand, had their eyes narrowed, their expressions filled with jealousy and resentment. Shen Tefeng was thinking about how to take revenge on Kangxian, while Zhong Tianhao secretly warned himself not to provoke this person anymore. Zhong Tianhao was not an idiot and knew what kind of people should be messed with and what kind of people should not be messed with. Undoubtedly, Kangxian was the person who shouldn't be messed with. Between the shock of the crowd, a roar suddenly came out from the beam pool as a 1,000-year-old crocodile surged towards the water spirit fruit in the center of the pool. Not good. The water spirit fruit is ripe. Stop them. Uncle Ma out a cry of alarm and took the lead in rushing towards the beam pool. Unlike the others, Kangxian had long ago promised to give them a water spirit fruit, so he cared more than anyone else. And naturally, he couldn't let these demonic beasts get their hands on it. Following closely behind were Zhou Yunji and Zhou Qianshu. When Shen Tepeng saw Zhou Yunji stealing a step ahead, he couldn't help but be atmospheric. This kid was still thinking about how to appease Kangxian. At this time, he was worthy of being a little fox. At that moment, he didn't dare to slow down, and immediately rushed towards the beam pool. Shen Tefeng, on the other hand, watched with cold eyes. He would not go to help. Zhong Tianhao, the grey-clothed old man, and a group of Zhong family children were also like this. They were forced to give up the water spirit fruit, but there was no need to flatter Kangxian. Of course, it was not that they were arrogant, but they knew that even if they flattered each other anymore, the other party would not be able to look at themselves. After all, they had already offended Kangxian earlier. In the blue cloud pool, Kangxian didn't wait for the crowd to come. He already rushed towards the water spirit fruit first. He was the closest. Naturally, he was the first one to appear next to the water spirit fruit, and then coldly looked at the surrounding millennium crocodiles that were pouring in. At this time, there was only a few moments left for the water spirit fruit to mature. Before that, he had to block these millennium crocodiles. Broken sky. Kangxian let out a low shout. The long black blade in his hand shot out dozens of brilliant blade onings, killing towards the millennium crocodiles that were surging in. The matchless energy caused the space around him to tremble. In just an instant, dozens of millennium crocodiles were killed by him. At this moment, Zhou Yunji, Shen Tepeng, Uncle Ma, and the rest of them also arrived one after another, instantly easing the pressure on Kangxian. A few experts, cooperating with Kangxian, stood around guarding the water spirit fruit. With the loss of time, a 1,000-year-old crocodile died, and the blood stained the entire beam pond. Suddenly, the 7 water spirit fruits erupted with a brilliant light, emitting a pungent fragrance. It's ripe. Pick it quickly. Uncle Ma's eyes instantly lit up, and he drank at Kangxian, who was even more anxious than Kangxian. Everyone else also looked towards the 7 water spirit fruits, and couldn't help but tremble for her. moment. Finally, their gazes landed on Kang Tian, but they still clenched their teeth and gave up on forcibly seizing them at this time. Kang Tian read the expressions around him at his heart and smiled slightly bitterly. He wished that they would forcefully snatch it at this time. In that case, he would be able to take these water spirit fruits all by himself. Now that these people didn't snatch them, he was not in a good position to swallow them all by himself. After all, stretching his hand was not a good idea. People respected him so much, even if it was hypocritical. He couldn't do something like swallowing the water spirit fruits all by himself, which was not a decent thing to do. Kang Tian had thought that the crowd would not be able to stand the temptation to grab it at such a time, so that he would have a reason to make a move, but the result surprised him. The crowd present were restrained despite their red eyes. "Kid, I see you are dying to save face and live to suffer. If the old man tube them, what moral righteousness directly this 7 water spirit fruit alone? In this cruel cultivation world, if you are not cold, you will not make progress." Dan Huang's voice came from his mind, following Kang Tian for so many days. He naturally knew Kang Tian very well and knew what Kang Tian was thinking right now. "Elder Dan, a great man does not do something before he can do something. My Kang Tian's foothold in the cultivation world is not just relying on these few water spirit fruits, so what's the point of giving them a few of them?" Kang Tian smiled in his heart. In the end, he took down 5 water spirit fruits and handed one of them to Yuan, who took it with a face full of excitement and said gratefully, "Big brother Kang Tian, don't worry. When we return to Demon Yuan City, our Yuan family will offer the 3 extreme spirit stones." Kang Tian nodded. Then he handed another one to Zhou Yunji. "Thank you, brother overlord. Our Zhou family will likewise offer 3 extreme spirit stones." Zhou Yunji excitedly received the water spirit fruit and said solemnly. Kang Tian froze. He had not said that he wanted the Zhou family's extreme spirit stones, so he thought that they had misunderstood, thinking that the Yuan family had paid 3 extreme spirit stones to purchase this 1 water spirit fruit. However, Kang Tian did not say anything. Anyway, he was in need of extreme spirit stones, and since the Zhou family was willing to contribute, it would be perfect. He couldn't help but feel better in his heart. Finally, these water spirit fruits weren't given in vain. Kang Tian took out another water spirit fruit and handed it to Shen Tepeng. This old guy was quite good at what he did. He deserved this water spirit fruit. Of course, Shen Tepeng also patted his chest and guaranteed that, after arriving at Demon Yuan City, he would offer 3 pieces of extremely high-quality spirit stones. HMPH. These guys are quite sensible, or else they would be heartbroken old me. Emperor Dan snorted coldly. Only his eyes looking towards Kang Tian were filled with relief. This choice of Kang Tian's was actually the one that was most in line with his heart. Just now he was only testing Kang Tian. 2 water spirit fruits are enough for your old man to refine the wall-breaking Dan, Kang Tian said with a smile, and then he collected the remaining 2 water spirit fruits into the reverse heavenly cauldron. "Haha, 1 is enough. Leave the remaining 1 to your grandpa. His qualifications are not as good as yours. This water spirit fruit should be able to help him raise his cultivation by quite a bit, giving him a chance to reach the Yuanying stage in the future." Emperor Dan laughed. Kang Tian was stunned, right, almost forgetting about Grandpa. He couldn't help but curse himself for being unfilial. It's been more than a year since he and Grandpa parted ways, and he didn't know where Grandpa was now. Perhaps Grandpa had already arrived at the imperial capital. Hearing Emperor Dan mention his grandfather, Kang Tian couldn't help but miss his grandfather more and more in his heart. And this feeling of longing made him a little impatient to head to the imperial capital. "Everyone, the spirit fruits have been distributed. Do you have any more comments?" Gathering his emotions, Kang Tian swept towards the crowd and faintly asked. The crowd all shook their heads at the words. They all received a spirit fruit and were on good terms with Kang Tian. So naturally, they didn't have any opinions. Even if they did now, they wouldn't dare to bring it up. On the contrary, it was Uncle Ma who asked, "Little brother Kangchon, what are you going to do with these two?" He pointed towards the two remaining water spirit fruits on the bean pond. "Naturally, I'll leave them for them." Kangchon smiled coldly at the distant Zhong clan's men and women, as well as the scattered cultivators and small forces men and women who were eyeing this place. Uncle Ma was stunned at his words, and then smiled bitterly. He finally understood why Kangchon had left these two water spirit fruits behind. It seemed that this time, the Zhong family was going to be unlucky. Sure enough, geniuses were not only superbly talented, their intelligence was equally not to be underestimated. Zhou Yunji and Shen Tepeng glanced at each other, and also couldn't help but reveal a hint of a smile. Obviously, the Zhong clan's failure to step in to help just now had displeased Kangchon. Now, there were only two water spirit fruits left here. Once they left, they would definitely attract the crowd to fight for them. Although the Zhong family was powerful, they would have to pay a price if they wanted to obtain the water spirit fruits smoothly in front of so many people. And if they were unlucky, they wouldn't be able to take even one of the water spirit fruits.